The 20th summit of the Bolivarian Alliance for the People of Our America People's Trade Treaty was held in the Cuban capital this Tuesday, with the presence of several heads of states from Latin America and the Caribbean. A United States appeal court has ruled against the Biden administration's termination to the Trump's era remains in Mexico policy. The Lebanese pound hit a new historic low on the black market on Tuesday as the population struggles to afford basic goods. From the headquarters of Telesur English in Caracas, Venezuela, I am Janet Perez Moya. This is From the South. We begin in Cuba, where the 20th summit of the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America People's Trade Treaty sessionates in Havana this Tuesday, with the presence of several heads of state from Latin America and the Caribbean. The summit saw the discussion of the regional response to the pandemic and the need to bolster economic mechanisms to alleviate the most pressing needs of the people of the region. Representatives of member countries are also celebrating the 17th anniversary of the mechanism for regional integration. Participants agreed that this anniversary serves as an opportunity to jointly evaluate measures to guarantee peace and stability, as well as political coordination to prevent foreign interference in their internal affairs. Among the heads of states and governments present were OJOT, President Miguel Díaz-Canel, Bolivian President Luis Arce, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega, and the Prime Ministers of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves Grenada, Kate Mitchell, Dominica, Roosevelt Skerrit, and Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown. During his opening remarks at the 20th summit of the Bolivarian Alliance for the People of Our America People's Trade Treaty, host President Miguel Díaz-Canel stated that the coercive measures imposed by imperialist powers against ALBA member states have caused significant hardships for their people.
Several members of this mechanism have been victims of the application of coercive measures that became stronger in the worst moment of the pandemics, appealing to political maneuvers that were supported in lies and the power of imperialism. They have continued to use a number of these measures.
Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro highlighted that the summit offers a perfect opportunity to honor the foundation of ALBA as an alternative to fight against neoliberalism.
To celebrate the 17th anniversary already of the foundation of what in its birth in 2004 was an alternative to neoliberalism and the attempt to colonize our countries, our nations, with what was known as a free trade agreement.
In his address to the ALBA-TCP summit, Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega stressed the need to strengthen the bloc and follow the ideals of its founders.
I would say that ALBA, after the triumph of the Cuban Revolution, and that battle that Cuba has been waging all along the years, when 17 years ago these organization starts in our Latin American and Caribbean America. ALBA appears under the concept of Fidel, or under the ideas of Fidel and Chavez. It is the very first step taken in our America in the direction that our leaders were seeking in trying to get union. From the times of Bolivar, Sandinos in their supreme dreams, and plan that they created for us from the mountains. They created that plan for bringing us together, to all the presidents that were together.
At least 90 people were killed by the devastating tornadoes that ripped through several parts of the United States on Friday night. The state's hardest hits include Arkansas, Illinois, Kentucky, Mississippi, and Tennessee, where the storms destroyed numerous homes and businesses and also caused power outage. The biggest toll was reported in Kentucky, where at least 3 tornadoes were believed to have hit on Friday night, killing 80 people. The number of people reported missing at a candle factory and that was destroyed in Mayfield was lowered to 6 after company officials say that most of the employees had now been accounted for. At least 300 National Guard members were deployed in the state looking for survivors and other victims and helping to clear debris. The mayor of Mayfield, a town in the south of Kentucky devastated by the tornado, called on local residents to return and continue with their reconstruction efforts.
We want everybody to come back. I've thought about Katrina several times during this and thought they lost so many people who never came back. But we want our people to come back because we're going to rebuild with those people. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen tomorrow and this time next year. If we do an anniversary presentation, we're not going to be ready then, probably, up like we are today. But I can swear to you that the city of Mayfield will survive this.
We will be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. A United States appeals court has ruled against the Biden administration's termination of the Trump-era Remain in Mexico policy. The policy put in place by former President Donald Trump has forced tens of thousands of people to wait in Mexico for the resolution of their U.S. asylum cases. The Biden administration relaunched the policy last week following a district court order. The Supreme Court had previously denied a request from the administration to keep the program on hold while the case was appealed, according to the International Organization for Migration. 86 people have been returned to Mexico since the program was resumed last week. President of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, expressed his support to his Peruvian counterpart, Pedro Castillo.
Our neighboring countries, because this not only supports a president who came from a popular movement, who is a leader proudly born in the mountains, who comes from poor communities.
At least 60 people were killed and dozens more injured when a gas tanker exploded in the Haitian city of Cap Haitien on Tuesday morning. According to local medics, the toll was feared to rise. Deputy Mayor Patrick Almonor said the tanker is believed to have flipped over. The driver lost control while serving to avoid a motorcycle taxi. Fuel spilled onto the roads and pedestrians apparently rushed to collect the gas, which is in short supply as Haiti suffers with a severe fuel shortage caused by the tightened grip of criminal gangs and the capital Port-au-Prince. Prime Minister Ariel Henry decreed a period of national mourning following the explosion. The Bolivian government admits that so far it has failed in the international campaign to get major pharmaceutical companies to lift, even temporarily, patents on vaccines against COVID-19 in order to contain the spread of the pandemic. Our correspondent Freddy Morales has the story.
Bolivia began the year demanding vaccines against the novel coronavirus. In February, it obtained 25,000 doses of the 14 million it had proposed for the population over 18 years of age. It closes the year with a lot more, 21 million doses. The government has done everything besides bringing vaccines, mass vaccination centers, vaccination tracking, visiting center by center, neighborhood by neighborhood. Now it is up to the population to take responsibility for this vaccination. The availability of vaccines meant the extension of coverage to children over 5 years of age and the application of booster and third doses. Our people who have not been vaccinated. Let's protect the health of our people. We are entering the Christmas period. For 2 years, we have not been able to hug each other, and now we have the possibility to protect our children. But having solved so far the domestic urgencies, the frustration is evident with the so far unsuccessful government campaign at the international level for the release of vaccine patents for mass production in order to ensure worldwide access. We say that if patents on vaccines were not lifted, we were going to have uncertainty that will last for a long time, and we were right. The campaign has not yet taken off, despite the fact that world leaders have promoted it. United States President Joe Biden, Pope Francis and other authorities have joined our calls. But even so, we have not managed to lift patents, and today we have variants such as Omicron, such as Delta. There are critical situations such as those in Africa, where not even 10% of the population has been vaccinated and where Omicron comes from. It is said that it comes from Africa. By extending vaccination from the age of 5 up, Bolivia aims to protect 10 million of its 11 million inhabitants. The so-called fourth wave has been raging for 3 weeks. Since March last year, more than 500,000 cases have been recorded, with more than 19,000 deaths.
Freddy Morales, Telesur, Bolivia.
In view of the spread of the new Omicron variant of COVID-19, Cuba is now seeking to produce a vaccine that can combat the variant before the end of 2021. Cuba could have the first prototype of its Soberana Plus vaccine once proven effective against Omicron before the end of the year, according to scientists working on the research. During a meeting with President Miguel Díaz-Canel, the Director General of the Finlay Vaccine Institute, Vicente Veres, said that the nation is working at an accelerated pace to determine that its vaccines are effective against the new variant, while also noting that current priority of administering boost doses to the entire population. According to official figures, 95% of the eligible population have been fully vaccinated using the nationally produced Abdala Soberana O2 and Soberana Plus shots. In Argentina, cases of the coronavirus has increased by more than 60% in the last 2 weeks, according to the health minister. While occupancy of the intensive care units remains stable, the number of cases has doubled so far this month, while the Omicron variant of the virus is beginning to spread. Faced with the possibility of a new outbreak, the national government has announced the implementation of a health path from the 1st of January for access to public events. We have more stories coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The Lebanese pound hit a new historic low on the black market on Tuesday as the population struggles to afford basic goods. The exchange rate plummeted to 28,500 Lebanese pounds to $1, a fall of 1,500 to $1 in the space of just 24 hours. The sudden rise of the US dollar has prompted people to take the streets in several areas of the country to protest against the steps increase in prices and their living condition. A number of shops and supermarkets have closed also their doors in protest against the unprecedented financial crisis.
The salaries of the Lebanese did not change, so they cannot afford anything. When a person comes into the store, they ask about the price of an item and then walk away. They no longer have any purchasing power. They can barely pay rent, electricity bills, and food. During these days, whoever comes into my store, I am not selling them any goods, not before the dollar rate is fixed. It is unfair to me and to others. I am only selling candy. People are complaining, and they have the right to do so, because they can't afford anything. Even if a person is getting paid 5 million Lebanese, people used to buy large quantities, but not anymore. One single pepper is for 5,000 Lebanese pounds. Where is the state? Where are the officials? What are they relying on? Do they want to suffocate us more than they already have? No one can tolerate the situation anymore, neither the people nor the business owners, as they can't go on like this anymore.
After liberating more than 90% of its territory from terrorist groups, the Syrian government, people and their allies are focusing their efforts on the diplomatic and economic fields to reach a political solution to the conflict and break the Western blockade that has hindered the normalization of the situation in this Arab nation. We have more details in the following report with our correspondent Hisham Wanous.
In the political arena, Damascus urged us to prevent any external interference on the work of the Syrian Constitutional Discussion Committee and stressed the need for the dialogue to be purely between Syrians reflecting their aspirations and not be a process that favors agendas of countries hostile to Syria. A position announced during the meeting held on Sunday between international mediator Geir Pedersen and Syrian Foreign Minister Faisal al-Mikdad, which was described as comprehensive and good. We should know and analyze not only the Arab position, but also the American, European, Turkish, Russian, and Iranian position on the unfolding of events in Syria, and I believe there is a possibility to start exploring the ways forward in the process, and I hope we can continue these consultations in Geneva in the near future. At the same time, at the economic level, Damascus is hosting the Syrian-Iraqi Business Forum until the 15th of this month, with the participation of 50 companies and numerous businessmen from both neighboring countries. This meeting integrates meetings, seminars, and work visits on-site to learn about the Syrian market and the opportunities to increase trade between the two parties. We intend in this meeting to promote cooperation between Syrian and Iraqi industrial zones and cities, as well as the creation of an agricultural investment and marketing company based on the importance of the agricultural sector in the Syrian economy, since we are a producer country and we are looking for a market and a way to export our agricultural products to our brother nation of Iraq. At the same time, more than 50 industrial companies from Syria and Iraq are participating in the first edition of the Export Fair taking place in the fair city of Damascus, a trade event aimed at sharing experiences in the industrial and commercial sectors for the two countries and the benefit and the reconstruction phase, in addition to expanding the partnership between Syria and neighboring countries. We hope that this fair will help our Syrian brothers to increase their industrial activity and increase cooperation with us in the industrial field, and we know the good quality of Syrian products, and therefore we ask Syrian businessmen to build factories in Iraq to improve the industry and economy of both countries. Syria, in defiance of European and American coercive measures, is opening up to its neighbors and its allies such as Russia, China, and Iran through economic channels, a move that seeks to consolidate the steadfastness of the Syrian people in the face of Western attempts to achieve through political pressure and economic sanctions what they could not achieve through the terrorist war.
China has rejected claims by the United States that it is conducting aggressive actions in the Asia-Pacific region, stressing the U.S. continues to seek to provoke misunderstandings.
As it claims, really wants to play a genuine role in the peaceful development of the Asia-Pacific region, then it should sincerely respect the regional cooperative structure centered around ASEAN, and not draw ideological lines, form cliques, or provoke group confrontations. It should respect the common efforts of China and ASEAN to uphold peace and stability in the South China Sea, and not frequently send fleets and planes into that sea, flaunt its military strength, or stir up trouble. The U.S.'s attempt to provoke splits and misunderstandings and incite antagonism and confrontation are not welcome anywhere in the world, and will certainly not work in the Asia-Pacific region. If the U.S.
And the Chinese Foreign Minister also stressed that the U.S. military will one day face justice after the Pentagon announced that no U.S. troops or officials would face disciplinary actions for the drone strike, which killed 10 Afghan civilians, including 7 children.
When the U.S. talks about democracy and human rights at this summit on democracy, the innocent Afghan people who were shot dead by the U.S. military were brushed aside. Their families had no place to complain about their grievances. This is the harsh reality brought to the world by the U.S.'s democracy and human rights. The days when the U.S. could have its way around the world under the pretext of democracy and human rights is long gone. The day of reckoning will come for the U.S. military who have committed the crime of killing innocent civilians in many countries.
We have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also follow us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For Telesur English, I am Janet Perez Moya. Thank you for watching.